Get out of the hospital. Let me back into your life. I can't stand what you do. I'm in love with your eyes.
Welcome, one and all, to I Don't Get It, the pop culture Get Off My Lawn cast. The podcast that features the open-minded, hopefully open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons bravely and boldly staring down their entertainment irrelevance. I am your co-host. My name is Noah Tarnow. Hello. I'm the founder and the senior quiz master of The Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. And I'm back in New York, Bill, our hometown.
Yeah.
Where it all began, where the magic happens.
The city's so nice they named it once.
They named it technically once. Well, they called it New Amsterdam before that. But headed back to San Francisco later today. And joining me this episode and every episode.
Oh, yeah. My name is Bill Scurry. I'm the founder and proprietor of American Caesar Enterprises, which is an abrasive drive-time DJ in one of America's smaller metro corridors. Perhaps, like your Raleigh or your Columbus or something like that. You know what I mean?
I remember being a kid thinking those DJs were like the coolest people.
As you were supposed to. Wasn't that Scott Shannon back in New York?
Oh, God. And then Scott Shannon's got a face for radio. And that's mean, but he's MAGA, so who cares? I actually read that recently. But later realizing, why didn't someone tell me these people are losers?
I didn't really...
Why did I worship these people?
Because I was such a sort of cosseted person growing up in the metro area and getting, used to the fact that I just thought that our culture in the tri-state area was somehow like the apex, the best.
Yeah. It's hard to not think that when you grow up in the New York area. So I remember reading a contest, win a trip to New York, and I'm like, why would anyone want to win a trip to New York? It's right there.
So when I was living down in Raleigh and I was driving from Durham to Raleigh every morning, I would put on...
How long a drive is that?
It was only 35, 40 minutes or so.
Really?
Typical, second tier city American commute, that kind of thing. But I was listening to, they were syndicating Imus from FAN, and they would go to the local guy after that. Because, the local markets would essentially save money by paying the carriage fee. Right. So anyway, when the local
you get your Imus, you get your Greaseman, all those people,
all that shit, yeah, and right. And Imus made sense for the triangle because it was, the political bent. He was kind of like I want to say a little bit of like a proto dirtbag left kind of guy. He was more left leaning, but he had right wing people on. It was a different era. It was like the late 90s, So anyway, so the thing is that then the drive time guy would come on afterwards, like the guy that was like the 8 a.m. guy. Or the 9 a.m. guy would come on, and he was all with the sound effects and the prank calls. Mm-hmm. Then it got wacky. Then we were sort of dealing with a whole different environment from the sort of staid, Don Imus.
Imus was staid.
If you could compare it to a local drive time guy in Raleigh, who was trying. I guess so. He was more performatively disobedient. Let's put it that way.
I remember briefly listening to a radio station in the Twin Cities when I was in college in Minnesota, and they're like, here's an example of the wackiness. And it was like the jokes were like, there's a rumor this guy's gay. This singer is gay. I guess musical notes were coming out of his mouth, but something else is going in. And like that was their joke that they put in the ad.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, that's not a good joke.
By the way, do we need to explain what Imus is? Because we're just saying this.
So Don Imus.
Some top secret government project called Imus.
Don Imus was he's still alive, right?
No, he's been dead for like a decade.
He's dead? Okay. He was a longtime New York drive time morning DJ, and he got very popular. He was kind of political. He was kind of controversial because he would insult people. And then the story is when Howard Stern came along, Stern was in the Imus mold, but Stern took it to a new level. And the two of them were both on the same network for a while. And they were like this 1-2 punch of controversy. But apparently the rumor is Imus hated Stern. He was jealous of him.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Imus was extremely tetchy. He was extremely insecure. He was like the old model of what the showbiz guys were.
He was the Madonna of morning drive time DJs.
Yeah. He just could not deal with the competition. And,
Yeah. But he was all over the place. I'd be a kid and I'd hear about Imus and I didn't know it was a guy's name. I thought it was a company or something.
John Donald Imus. Yeah.
Is that his real name? His first name's really John?
Yeah.
But he went by Don Imus.
Correct. Yeah. That's exactly.
Okay. Anyway, welcome to our show. Enough DJ talk. We're talking about a TV show this week. We always talk about something that's currently very popular, and as our desiccated brains, hurtle into the abyss of age, we're trying to keep up. We're trying to make sense of it. And this is something I'm a fan of anyway. I suggested it. Works well while I'm traveling because I didn't have as much time to research something. We're talking about the hottest show right now, one of the hottest shows right now on the home box office network.
The hottest show not featuring currently gay hockey players. We should subset that maybe.
Yeah, well, that's sort of...
that is the hottest show.
Well, we talked about that a few weeks ago, Heated Rivalry.
No, we covered it. We're done with it, yes.
Well, its season is over, right? It'll be hot again season 2. Anyway, on the HBO, what's the HBO Max? What's its official name these days?
HBO Max. HBO Max is the correct
but it went to just Max for a while, and then they went back to HBO, right?
Yeah, they were. Yes, exactly.
They realized just Max was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a mistake. That's why we're having this conversation because
these things are very important, folks. So we're talking about the Pitt, folks. The Pitt. Most famous as the hangout of the characters on 90210. I'm sorry, that's the Peach Pit. Forgive me. Yeah. The Pitt does not star Brad Pitt. It is a medical procedural drama on Max, whatever it's called. And it was created by R. Scott Gemmell. R. Scott, of course, from the force behind, he was a producer on JAG, on ER, not the sitcom. Not the George Clooney sitcom,
not the George Clooney sitcom,
but the George Clooney medical drama, very popular in the 90s show ER. They technically didn't have the same title. The drama was capital E, capital R. The comedy was capital E/capital R. Important to distinguish. R. Scott Gemmell also wrote all 14 seasons. 14, Bill, of NCIS Los Angeles. Is that a show you've ever watched?
Oh my God, that's the one with Chris, what's his face, and LL Cool J? Oh no,
really? LL Cool J. Not only have I never watched it, I don't even think I was aware it existed.
No, that's
14 seasons.
CBS is a network filled with imaginary shows that your dead grandparents love.
Columbia Broadcasting System. Yes.
Tiffany Network.
The Tiffany. That's right, Tiffany Network. Did you know that? Did you get that question right in Learn
I
the
did.
League?
Yeah. Well, I live on Earth. I heard that before.
Live on Earth. Okay. And the show is produced by Noah Wiley, who was a star of the drama ER and is a star of this show, the number one star of this show, and John Wells. John Wells was, I believe, the creator of that same ER. So this is a bit of a reunion for Gemmell, Wells, and Wiley. And John Wells was also the creator of The West Wing. And there are a lot of comparisons between this and The West Wing. The West Wing, a show I watched all the way through multiple times, was a big fan of. So the show has been described as 24 meets ER. Each season consists of 15 episodes, and each episode is an hour long, and it is mostly in real time, covering 1 hour of a 15-hour shift in the emergency department of a fictional teaching hospital located in Pittsburgh, hence the name of the show, The Pitt. And it uses the teaching element, medical students being trained in medical techniques, as a way to, guide the viewer through the medical process. And as an example of a term that comes up when the show's discussed a lot, competence porn. The show shines a light on the struggles and challenges inherent in our modern medical system, as seen through primarily the doctors and nurses, but also through the patients. Noah Wiley does star as Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich, the attending physician in this emergency department. Season 1, we are 1.5 seasons in. Season 1 premiered in January of 2025. It covers one day at the emergency department. The first day for several students, their first day, happening on the anniversary of the death of Dr. Robbie's mentor, who died due to the COVID epidemic. In season 2, we are now 9 episodes into season 2. Takes place 10 months later on July 4th, which is Dr. Robbie's last day before he takes a sabbatical to motorcycle across Canada. We are now 9 episodes in. The show has a really interesting distribution model, Bill. They are releasing only 1 episode per week. So instead of watching the whole season at once, you have to wait week to week to see a new episode. That is quite novel.
It seems vaguely familiar, but yeah, I guess I'm not really familiar with that idea.
Who ever heard of that? Anyway, it does star Noah Wyle along with Tracy Ifechor, although she was only in season 1, Patrick Ball, Catherine Lanasa, Supriya Ganesh, Fiona Dourif, Taylor Dearden, Isa Briones, Garen Howell, and Shabana Aziz. I had heard of none of these people other than Noah Wyle before. And as those names might suggest to you, there's quite a bit of racial and cultural diversity in the cast and in the characters. The show is the big winner last September's Emmy Awards. It won Outstanding Drama Series, Outstanding Casting, and acting wins for Wiley, Lanasa, and recurring guest star Sean Hadazy. What do I know him from? His name's familiar.
Yeah, he was in some teen movies in the 90s. He's mostly been camped out on this show called...
Age.
Yeah. Oh, yes. He's exactly. And so is Wiley. I think is just a couple. He's not.
Wiley's
too old.
I thought he was a little
close.
older, but okay.
It was just a little older. No, but Hadassey was on a show called The Animal Kingdom on like TNT for the longest time.
I heard that was good. Did you see that?
I liked the movie, the original Aussie movie. I did not watch an episode of the show.
Okay. Anyway, the show has gained quite a bit of praise from the medical community for its supposed realism and for, as I said, shining a light on the psychological costs of our ass-backwards medical system. The cost to mainly practitioners, but also patients, particularly in light of the COVID epidemic. Although my friend Alice Swenson, a doctor herself, former emergency department doctor, when I told her about the show and asked her about the show, she's never watched it, but she insisted it is not realistic. There is no way it's realistic. Anyone who claims it's realistic is wrong because there is no conceivable way a TV show could be realistic. That was her stance on it. So, that's what she says. You or I, we have never worked in an emergency medical department in any context. I've rarely been in an emergency medical.
That you know of.
Right, that I know of. So, Bill, what did you think? You watched mostly one season of this. What did you think of The Pitt?
I watched episodes of season 1, 1, 2, 3, and I believe 15 is it's 15 episodes. Which, by the way, that too is a novelty. A 15 episode.
I guess so. Yeah.
Run length. The old ones, the old shows used to be between 23 and 26 episodes. And the modern mold is 10 to 12, 13 maximum.
Or Heated Rivalries, what, 6?
6. That's the British mold, that kind of thing, the Canadian thing. Yeah, so this is like splitting the difference. Everything about it is kind of old. What's old is new again. And I mean, again, the show itself harkens back to ER, which is why you mentioned those 2 letters no less than 18 times in your intro. But here, let's get this out of the way. Start by mentioning that Crichton, the estate of Crichton, is suing the Pitt and on the grounds that it's...
Are you serious?
Yes, absolutely. Deadly serious.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Crichton's widow, I mean...
Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton...
Well, it's because of that episode where the raptor shows up and eats half the patients.
Yeah. There was an Andromeda strain broke out of the... Yeah, so
they're treating. That's the cliffhanger in the middle of season 1. They're treating the Andromeda strain.
Crichton was weird because he wrote these books that were highly theoretical, but kind of like pulpy science fiction stuff. It was a lot of airport fiction, but it was of a different class at that time. It wasn't the legal thriller. And so, but on top of that, the guy had a sideline in movies and TV. He created ER. ER was his. It was produced by Wells. But Michael Crichton was like the guy who brought it and sold it to whatever company, and NBC aired it. Anyway, so his widow and the estate is suing the Pitt on grounds that it's swiping the intellectual property of ER on account of the fact that this resembles it so much. I mean, also, it should say that it can't possibly be a coincidence that R. Scott Gemmell, Wells, and Wiley came out of ER, came up with the idea for this.
No, it's not a coincidence at all. I believe this extended. They were originally going to do a spin-off for Noah Wiley's character from ER. Yeah,
this was going to be John
Carter. And then
Carter.
When they couldn't reach terms, they're like, fuck it.
Exactly. And so it's like, I kind of wonder if the actionable case, if she's got some juice, I wonder if I think they'll wind up settling.
This is different from ER. I mean, ER every episode,
it's somewhat different. Look,
crazy shit would happen.
In the best way, this is reminiscent of ER. That's the thing.
I like it a lot better than ER, but okay.
Well, did you watch ER? Because you didn't really mention that.
Now and then,
Okay, because it was, ER was a monster. ER ran until 2000. It was 94 to 09. I think it was a long fucking.
Wow, it ran that long.
It was like, that's a lot of cast members. That's a lot of like showrunners. That's a big deal. I think I only watched 3 seasons of it. It's like, but 3 seasons of ER was a lot of that's a lot of TV back in the mid 90s. Yeah, but it's like this show. This show has the goods. I mean, you said already, it delivers on the process on the modern promise of being a ER for today with a new crop. Of admittedly anonymous British and Aussie actors. You just said you didn't recognize too many of the players, and there's a reason for that. It's because they cast out of Sydney and they cast out of London for a lot of these people. But
are these people Australian?
Yes, the lady who played the Nepo daughter doctor, who everyone kept calling, everyone thought she was a nurse. She's from Adelaide. Yeah,
there's a young Indian American woman, one of the students, her first day, who's struggling because both of her parents are prominent doctors who actually show up at different points.
And there's a kid, I think his name is Whitaker, the young guy who looks to me like
Darren Howell.
He looks like Tom Holland. He has a very, and the thing is, the guy's from Cardiff, Wales, and it's like he's got the most Dickensian English face imaginable. It's like it's such a preposterously English face, and their accents are okay. They dip in and out. Yeah, and they have very stagey things. But look, we'll get to that. It's like here. You gotta gird yourself though for the organs and viscera on display. I was watching this with my wife, and she kept like the squick was like getting her. She kept like looking at it with putting her hand up and blocking the screen. And it's as much the sound design, because they really do a lot of Foley work of every time there's a cavity opened up in somebody's body. They were resectioning a man's pubis in order to sort of pack it with fistfuls of surgical gauze in the first season. And it's very procedural. It's painstaking. It's all under fluorescent lights. And so the thing is, they're not trying to obscure anything. And that's one of the reasons why it has a look to it. I mean, ER was done on a 360 set. That was one of the things about ER that worked, is that they did not have to treat it, like it was the fourth wall would go in there and push in and out. It's like they kind of like would shoot it in the round. It made it easy for the actors to regard it as a real place, which is pretty cool. A lot of shows don't do that, especially with the fact that location shooting and interior shooting is becoming so fucked up with green screens and the volume and stuff like that. It's pretty nice. And also, you mentioned her name, Fiona Dourif. As a big fan of the Dourif family.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
Brad Dourif's your boy.
I'm happy to see Brad's eldest daughter.
The voice of Chucky, right?
And yes, Peter DeVries, ex of David Lynch. There's so many things along the way. The guy's touched everything you love. He's been a part of it. He's retired now.
And by the way, Taylor Dearden, who I mentioned, her full name is Taylor Dearden Cranston.
Cranston.
She is Walter White's kid.
Yes, imagine where that name came from. Yeah. So Fiona Dourif she's been banging around for a while. I think she's been acting since probably 2006, 2007. But it's like, this is her biggest role. She got the I think it's the SAG Actor Award. It was like the best cast thing. And so she's getting a role that is finally kind of distinguishing her. People are seeing her for the first time. Maybe you could look at her face and pick out the fact that you see the Brad Dourif in her bone structure. But she's giving herself a legacy in the thing. But, honestly, the one downside I have, I'm bearing the lead. I like the show a lot. The show is really good, and I avoided watching it only because I was not really into getting up. I don't really fuck around with TV. The hour-long thing, I think I'd rather devote that time to watching a film, which is a closed statement. You know what I mean? The idea of I can watch.
I don't have time for television. I'd rather read Proust.
In 15 hours of TV. One a week, it has a good build up to it, but it's like at that same time, the amount of films I could watch where it opens and closes a thread, and I could go, I could watch a zombie movie from Rome that was shot in 76, or I could watch something with Donald Sutherland from 1995 about South Africa. I can go all over the world, and that's why my time investment is in doing film. It's for me, pouring the media in my head, it makes more sense. So it's like, I had a feeling I would like this. I just never watched it. Everyone whose opinion I give a fuck about said that this was a great show. And it lives up to the hype. I did not think it was going to be a gamble. I knew that most time I devoted to watching this was not going to be wasted time, and so, I think I have a positive reaction to this topic.
Yeah, I do too. I've made clear. I really enjoy the show. I am only one episode behind. They're releasing new episodes every Thursday night, and as of this recording Saturday, and I believe episode 9 of season 2 dropped last Thursday, and I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm always impressed when a show, or a movie for that matter, manages to, thoroughly breathe life into many characters without, shortchanging plot or forward momentum. And I think the show strikes that balance very well. It also strikes a nice balance of darkness and humor. I mean, there's some pretty dark shit going on. There's a scene in season 1 where like a 6-year-old dies, and Dr. Robbie literally tells the parents as they're leaning over the body, like, okay, Amber has passed away. It's heartbreaking. And then, you always have like the wacky subplot of the homeless guy with rats in his clothes that are now running around, or the woman the 2 drunk friends who are taking a selfie, and one bites her tongue so bad it's lacerated and they have to like sew her tongue up while she's blackout drunk.
The eccentric who just pops up to the yard to get sandwiches from the basket.
Yeah, exactly. They strike that balance very well. I'm very impressed with that. There's a quote here from Nicholas Qua in Vulture, New York Mag's Vulture. By grafting old school procedural pleasures onto a 24-esque real-time format, the show produced a genuinely novel structure in the post-Prestige era that was impossible to look away from. And I think that really sums it up nicely. I find the conceit of the teaching hospital very, very consciously, how are we going to explain things to the audience without being too expositional? I know we'll basically make it teaching, and that's what happens.
Wiley smooths over, makes it completely credible.
Yeah, he's quite good. It's a very effective device. And it's telling that I have basically no idea what's going on during these squicky medical scenes as they're explaining, the tubes and whatnot. And I still find them engaging. It's the pacing and the characterization really ground this stuff. And it's something I liked about, when I watched ER, and something I liked about The West Wing as well. Speaking of which, despite its supposed realism and doctors praising it, I think what this has at root in common with West Wing, which, as I said, I watched quite a bit, and ER not as much, is also the root of its most common critique, which is that it's too optimistic. Half the people I've mentioned, are you watching The Pitt? My mother said this, a couple friends said this to me. They're like, yeah, it's good, but, I have found that doctors aren't really like this. They don't give you that much time. They don't give you that much attention. They don't give you that much emotion. They don't give you that much caring. And doctors aren't this personable. And that is true. But my response to that is, don't forget, it's still fiction. It's still a TV show. But it's a hopeful TV show. And in some respect, it's a fantasy. It's what we all want. It's what we all need. It's frankly what I feel we could have in this country. Nicholas Qua says it's gotten too preachy in season 2. That's his big criticism. He says season 2 is a bit of a fall off. It's too strident in its, these doctors are suffering. Here's why. Here's what it's all about, blah, blah, blah. He's saying that season 2 is sort of claiming they're morally perfect, but I don't agree. I didn't watch ER much, but I was a big West Wing fan, and I'm more interested in politics than medicine after all. And much of what drew me to that show was that it's also a lot of what helps me maintain my love for the United States in 2026, despite the river of shit that our supposed government is dumping on the country, on the citizens, and the rest of the world. This idea that the foundational principles are admirable and noble. It's true of our country and our medical system. And a better version of the system is not only possible, but inherent in its reason for being, if only we'd allow it. But getting there isn't easy, and the struggle in and of itself is, I guess, entertaining and inspiring to see noble people struggling toward this goal. And that's one thing I prefer about this over West Wing. It shows more clearly the struggles the doctors go through, their pain, their mental anguish, their challenges, the toll it takes on them emotionally and spiritually. And this is why I maintain the show is very realistic, despite its sometimes fantastical nature, because it's rooted in the realism of hope, if that makes sense. I like the show. I find it inspiring. I find it entertaining. I really think it's quite excellent.
As you can see, we have some new faces with us this morning. Good morning, good morning. Come on over. Starting with second-year resident Dr. Melissa King, fresh from the VA.
Everyone calls me Mel. I'm so happy to be here.
Trinity Santos, intern.
Victoria Giavatti, MS3.
Dennis Whitaker, MS4.
Noah, why is this show popular? I think it's easy to say.
All right, I got a bit of a long quote here from that same article, Nicholas Qua. There's a lot on Vulture. They're doing weekly recaps of this, as they do for a lot of buzzy shows. But this is what he writes. He writes, the Pitt continues in season 2. The Pitt continues its advocacy. There are moments in which it's. Let me back up. The advocacy. Let me give you examples. There's a moment in season 1 where a boy needs a vaccine. Oh, a boy needs a spinal tap.
Because
he's got a big
case.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You can't go there.
Big bottom. Thank you.
You can't say spinal tap without thinking of that. And they discover he's not vaccinated. And that's a problem. And they're arguing. And the mom is nuts. And she's reading. She's like, but this website says. And Dr. Robbie Lucy goes, put your phone down. If you want me to help your son, listen to me. Also, it's got moments where it's kind of anti-cop in the exact way that I'm anti-cop, which is these people are more trouble than they're worth. There's really a powerful moment of that so far in season 2. Oh boy, that my girl, Catherine Lanassa, Dana, really pushes. So yeah, it takes a stance. So let me get to the quote. In season 2, the Pitt continues its advocacy. There are moments in which its eternal sense of authority, its desire to teach you something important, has grown louder and less restrained. Sure, Pittsburgh trauma, being a teaching hospital, naturally lends to scenes of literal instruction, but too often the show pushes past procedural necessity into something distractingly pedantic, even patronizing, unquote. All right, I get that, and I agree somewhat, but it doesn't dull the pleasure for me. Again, because it feeds into the hope, which is very pleasurable and I think soul-affirming. It's also season 2 has an anti-AI subplot that resonates with me. Anti-AI, pro-vax. Look, I think this is the time for strident advocacy. This is the time to bang people over the heads with it for obvious reasons. This is the time where any popular media that can get these messages in better fucking do it, because who knows how long it's going to be able to. I'm happy to see that kind of advocacy in something that, let's face it, is as inconsequential but as popular as a TV show. I think that's important to keep laying that firmament in our culture. What show, there's definitely a topic on our show that we talked about competence porn. Do you remember what it was?
Not off the top of my head, but it is what people discuss. It
right.
Comes up these days. It certainly wasn't Labubu, but what was it? It's a good question. I can't quite remember what it was.
Adam Levine's sexts. No, competence porn, if you haven't heard that term, it's kind of obvious. The idea is watching super talented, competent people doing their work competently, at times perfectly, is very satisfying and, stirs something internally in the manner of pornography. In an era of very little competence from our supposed leaders and institutions, of overwhelming, utterly mallet on the head striking level of incompetence, it is really, with very important things, by the way, it is really both comforting and viscerally satisfying to see people saving lives with the touch of a supreme expert.
I'll take a 100-yard view from this and say, this is kind of a confluence. It's the best of what weekly network TV can meld with the edgy production value of streaming. In some ways, you got a little bit of everything to make something that's not necessarily subtractive or reductive. I think it adds to what each of these forms could give a show that looks that it makes a superior product. Which is to say, it's like, look, the thing is, cable has curse words. It's got nudity. It's got bloody violence. And
they're not afraid of the fucking shit and all that.
Yeah, and you're right. It has a point of view, and that these doctors really would. I think these doctors would, in fact, be advocates for vaccination and things of that. That's not a stretch.
Yes. Speaking of our doctor friend Alice Swinson, do not bring up anti-vax with her. She will lose it on you. And I'm with her on that.
You have the secret sauce of ER was the driving melodrama, which, you're knocking it for, but that's sort of one of the reasons why it kept going. It wasn't just the idea of the competency.
It served its purpose. I think this show is a little more nutritious in a way.
So the thing is, that show, it linked the messy private lives of the doctors with the melodrama, and you were watching it probably as much for the fact it's like, what was Juliana Margulies going to do with Clooney? Like there was a lot of that. Mariska Hargitay's character and Tony Edwards' character, there were compelling things.
Mariska Hargitay was on ER.
Yeah, that's sort of one of the first gigs that she broke out from back in the mid-90s.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big deal. That's how she got the NBC gig doing the SUVs, as Michael Imperioli said. This show,
I'm ashamed I've never heard of him.
This show improves. This show improves that.
I'm embarrassed I've never heard of him. Thank you. The
soapy model of the NBC thing, by driving harder with the production values, it sets the drama sort of in a cutting edge of hospital management, where it goes to the trouble of trying to make it as sophisticated as what you assume audiences can handle, as dumb as they might be today. With essentially, they want characters to walk on the screen and announce what they're doing on TV shows. So while they're folding, they don't lose the plot, but this is sort of expecting you to catch up with it. This is like what do they call it? Sit forward in your chair viewing.
Oh, jeez. Dr. Robbie? Dr. Robbie, you okay?
If you were a younger man now, would the Pitt appeal to you more or less?
Well, I have to harken back to that experience in college when my ex-girlfriend was really into, the NBC rock block of West Wing and of ER. I don't know. They might have been the same night. They may have been different nights. Seems like they'd be on different nights.
No, ER I think was Thursdays. I think it was Seinfeld and ER bookended that night.
Yeah. So maybe that was
and
a Wednesday night thing.
What was in between?
Well, that was the thing. That it was Mad About You. It was the single guy. It was that's the thing. It flipped around.
No, but there was something else really big on Thursdays. I can't remember.
Friends was a huge thing on Thursday.
Was Friends on Thursdays?
Yeah, sure. Kind of took over after Seinfeld.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, but the thing is, it's like I needed some coaxing to get there to watch the soapy hour-long drama, which is something that never reverberated with me. I always thought watching my mom and dad watch like Dallas, that was her show, which is very different. That's a soap. But it was the form. It was the form of thinking all shows at 9:00 on ABC or thereabouts is Falcon Crest. That's what TV's form. Hill Street Blues. That's what these shows all looked like. Like there was my show, which was Knight Rider or Airwolf. But then the other
wait, those shows were on at 10, weren't they?
No. Those were at night was like 8:00. That was like an 8 p.m. show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're more for like 18, because they were for kids.
Right. And so it's like I still have not seen a single moment of Cagney and Lacey. And that was on the TV a lot when I was a kid. Yeah. I'm sure it was a good show.
Your mom must have watched Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah, that's
everyone's mom watched Cagney.
Everyone, and it's like, and I thought that it's like, so to me, the form of hour-long TV at 9:00, that's what it was. It was something that I just had this bias against. So the thing is, even we're 19, 20 years old at that point. Once my girlfriend said, it's like, you got George Clooney's tousled hair and his jawline, it's really something.
Not giving up on a patient, no matter what.
Doug Ross was the guy. He was the one. Peds Dr. Doug Ross. He was the real guy who stuck out for you.
He was a pediatrician? I didn't remember that.
Peds ER. So once I started watching ER, I was hooked. I got 3 seasons deep, and I just think that naturally the repetition of it all, wore out. That was all there was to it, too. I can say that about any show I watched. Generally, I stuck with very few of them because there was a lot of mission creep. There was a lot of attrition. Even X-Files. Like, I think I got 5 seasons deep into X-Files before it's like, all right, I get what this is. Doesn't have the specialness of it anymore. But, it's like, I think that today this would look even more interesting on account of how much it's shot more like a documentary than ER was. There's something, as much as ER was trying to bring grittiness, more than MASH, say, which had a lot of melodrama and comedy to it, but it was still trying to treat surgery as like, oh, this is all life and death. ER went one step further, and this goes one step further from that. You get the 360-degree set, which ER had, but this looks nuts compared to ER. This is like you almost like can draw the scene set from memory a little bit, just because you've seen it so often and the way it's shot so sort of contextually. It's bathed in the blue fluorescent light. It sells the idea that you're in the shit, and I don't think I would have needed a lot of coaxing to get there.
I'm trying to imagine how I would have approached the show when I was younger. Probably a lot like ER. Which, as I said, I wasn't really into. I mean, I watched it sometimes because it was on, but of course, those were the days when very much fewer things were on. and you watch TV because it was on. Because what else are you gonna do? Not watch something?
You're gonna not watch TV?
And we didn't have, the tick faces and the snap books and all that.
A Seinfeld joke? A Simpsons joke? Who was that?
No, Seinfeld is when they're pitching their show to NBC to Bob Balaban, and George says, "It's about nothing," and he goes, and Balaban says, "So why do you watch it?" "Because it's on TV."
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah. I've never been interested much in medicine. I was more into West Wing because I was into politics, and I would have very much fewer opinions on it, having not had much experience in this world. But I was thinking about this. An interesting reason why not so much why I'm more into it now than I would as a kid, but there's actually something that I didn't bring up that kind of annoys me about it now that would not have annoyed me if I watched this in my 20s is now that I'm not in my 20s, I've had much more interaction with the medical system. Like many people our age, I have various medical complaints. I think more than the typical person our age, but I don't know. And one thing that annoys me about the show is how clear all the medical problems seem to be, how direct their solutions are. I mean, yes, they can't save everyone. There's a fair amount of death and, grave illness.
That's rarely misdiagnosed, though.
Right. This is the issue, we'll solve it. Or this is the issue, we can't solve it. It's done, right? You're either dead or, you'll go into chemo next week or something. My interactions with the medical system have been characterized by an extraordinary level of frustration with the inability to diagnose and treat my own issues. And that's never the case here. Everything is clear. It's funny because I'm sorry. I mean, I remember 20 years ago when my father was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and he told me, and my first reaction was, do they know how to treat it? And his answer was, yes, they caught it early. They know what to do. They've done this a million times. The chances of success are, huge. And, with the right treatment, I should be fine. And 20 years later, he is. I mean, he's 20 years older, so he's got other medical issues. But as far as I know, this thing has never been an issue since then. So that's where I go with medicine. Like, what is it and how do you deal with it? And this show always has answers to that. So I find that frustrating. But it's a TV show. What the hell I don't know. They could have a subplot about a mind-body disorder, about neuroplastic pain.
Are you okay?
Why wouldn't I be?
It's 5 years ago today. You can't block your feelings forever.
Is this any sign of the apocalypse you can imagine?
Yes, maybe, kind of, sort of. I mean, no, in that it's a great show that's getting a lot of attention and it's shining a light on an issue that needs to have that light shined on it for people who deserve more respect and more attention and more resources. It might be in that it furthers, I mean, despite all the struggles, like I said, problems get solved. These people care. These people are attentive. If you got a problem and go to the emergency room, odds are you're going to get the care you need. So maybe this furthers the myth that the medical industry is in great shape. I mean, they always refer to, and occasionally you see all the people waiting hours and hours and hours in the waiting room, but that's in the background. So it might further a myth that the medical industry is in decent shape, that everyone is well cared for, that it's not a big deal, that our entire health insurance system is a complete joke. So in that respect, it could further a myth that will sink us deeper into that morass of medical garbage. I don't know. I'm probably reaching.
Morass. Anytime I can use the word morass is great.
You like that word?
The word morass is the same in Dutch as it is in English, more or less. It means a swamp. It's a literal thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's a metaphor. Metaphors are handy, my friend. Yeah.
Well, I don't think this is an apocalypse.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Your Dutch lessons must be going really well if you've made it to morass.
Oh, believe me, we're in Holland. It comes up pretty quickly here.
Oh, yeah. Your vocabulary is very impressive. I studied French for years, and I don't know the French word for morass, that's for sure.
Mostly low water table.
Yeah, I guess you're the land of morasses.
This is a well-run show, which people are thrilled to watch. And the cool thing is that it looks like everyone's really happy to work on it. Now, that's not so weird because people always...
How can you tell that?
Oh, I watched some of the awards. I know that this is the one thing. It's like, the way Noah Wyle was like congratulating the cast at the SAG Awards. I know that's, of course, they're happy they won. They're buzzing a couple of cocktails. They look great in their tuxedos. However, it's like, I think that the transformation of Wiley to number one on the call sheet, so far as I know, he hasn't had too many leading man roles. I mean, he's been in the librarian movies for TNT for years, but this is another big spot for him. And it's like everyone loves him. He's got all this goodwill left over. People are happy to go to work. I think they like each other's work. Everyone's congratulating. It's like, it's nice that's that kind of stuff, that people are happy to go to work. There's no bullshit going on. People didn't say that about Euphoria. Everyone hated working with Sam Levinson. It's like there was just some of this stuff that it's a successful show, but there's shit to make. But anyway, if you're just going to take that as the bellwether of what's going on, some of this stuff feels rare in the current entertainment landscape, and I feel like it's weird and a little illusory that we're getting this at the same time that everything is going to be made by 3 studios total. And those studios' impetus is to make more Minion movies and nothing else. Because that's the barrel of entertainment we're staring down is for projects like this to sort of fight for their lives and perhaps not make it. So this is a little bit of a providence that we're seeing this. That's why I don't.
But this is the realm of TV now. It's not movies. But this is why TV is better than movies.
But it's cable streaming, and so it's all in the landscape. This is exactly the thing. Is that like the question is, what the fuck does Paramount do with the service this is on, which has It has an opinion. It has a fucking viewpoint. It has a standard of quality. HBO has an imprimatur on it. And it's like, you're going to start fucking asking them to make, I don't know. They're not going to make, Minions is owned by another studio. But the point is that they have less of a remit to make this stuff because they just bust themselves out to buy this company. They're not going to have the money to pay Noah Wyle and 50 orderlies anymore for a show of this nature. That's why I think it's so great that this is now, but it kind of feels like this could be the first and last of its kind at the moment.
I will be honest and say that of all the trophies that are out there, I was so desirous of this one for this cast, just so I could share this moment right now with them. I've never been more proud of a group of people in my life. This is the hardest working group of people.
So, Bill, in any way, are you jealous of the existence and or the success of the pit?
I was
of despair.
Of the morass. Of the morass.
Yeah, morass could be a synonym for pit.
The pit of the morass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was jealous that every noted TV writer, all the Sepinwallses and all the Tara's Ariano of the world, the people who I follow on a regular basis, they were gigging this. Anybody who had an opinion that I esteemed was not gigging this. I'm reading my notes wrong here. But the thing is, like I said, only because of the form, I thought the investment of time. Which way do I want to go? Do I want to fucking play a video game? What's the form of my media? And it's like, I knew I was going to like this. And I did. I'm glad I broke the ice. So I was jealous with myself a few days ago when I hadn't seen this already, or at least jealous
myself with yourself because you hadn't seen it.
No, yeah, right. I'm saying it's like
I don't follow you there.
I was jealous of the me of now. That's what I'm saying. Who has seen it. But it's like I
envy us. So do I.
That's true. So do I. The question is, will I go and close it out? Because I know that we watched a lot of shows for this, and since my habit is not necessarily to watch the episodic hourly stuff, we watched plenty of stuff that I dipped into, I judged it positively, said this was really good, and then didn't finish on it. So I don't know. That remains to be seen.
I'm very jealous of this. I mean, come on. Beautiful people, great at their jobs, a job needed by the world. Every time I meet someone these days, and I ask them what they do for a living, and they tell me something that I'm a teacher, I'm a medical professional, I go into, third world countries and feed starving people, whatever. I always say the first thing it's something the world needs, because I have this insecurity about having a job that I'm proud of, but, really, if we lived in a utopia, my job would be pointless. Also, I look, not as hard as these people, but I worked pretty damn hard when I was younger. I have a strong Calvinist streak, not just streak, but foundation. And sometimes I feel like I worked myself, to metaphorical death. And, for what? To tell people trivia questions and make people laugh. Ha ha ha. These people are working themselves spare to save lives and to, radically improve lives, to be goddamn heroes. And I find myself wishing I had given my life for that. So yeah, I'm jealous of, let me put it this way. In the real world, I'm not jealous of doctors, but TV doctors, I'm definitely jealous of, because they make it look glamorous and, yes, stressful, but manageably, discreetly stressful.
I'm going to jump right into it because I'm about to steal your thunder a little bit.
Please steal it.
For the purpose
I got too much thunder.
You have too much thunder? You need a thunder reduction?
Yeah.
I am going to issue a little Tarnowian calculus here in terms of my assessment of where this belongs on the Felonian scale. And I was using three things. I can't claim, I'm not like Fibonacci here, like you, where you just come up with these numbers and you balance an equation quadratically and there's very little leftovers and remainders. I did the best I could, but I still gave it a shot. So I thought this was one part Nepo babies, Noah, on account of Durf and Cranston being there. Yeah, the daughters. One part Gerard Carmichael on account of the sort of frank and entertaining manner in which this handles social ills. And then, sort of as a bigger thing over the top, on a lid, one part Squid Game, which is a giant streaming franchise I avoided until we talked about it, and then I had judged it as being decent enough, but I did not finish. I didn't close the deal on Squid Game. So these three things kind of triangulated where this falls for me on the thing.
Very interesting. I went a little more simple this week. I looked at just a sampling of some of the TV shows we looked at in the past. All 4 TV shows that I enjoyed very much.
Cagney Lacey, Falcon Crest, Dallas, all of the things.
We did not look. I don't think I ever watched. I remember seeing Cagney Lacey. I definitely never watched Falcon Crest.
Hill Street Blues?
I don't think I ever watched. No, I must have seen Dallas. I don't remember. Anyway. So you take Better Call Saul, which I love, and you multiply it times Succession, which I loved almost as much. So there you get a number, right? Let's call that number A. Then you multiply Heated Rivalry times Beef, and you get number B. Now, I find, my math is really wonky here because I'm making this up as I go along. I believe the Pitt is between Better Call Saul and Succession, and it's below Better Call Saul and Succession, but above Heated Rivalry and Beef.
Inside the delta, so yes.
You take number A, you take number B, you find the average of them, you subtract 4.56381, you square that, and then you divide that by 2.7, and you arrive at the Pitt.
And the calculator says boobless when you're finished, if you hold it upside down.
Wait, boobless? I didn't know you could do boobless. I always just did boobs. You could do boobless?
Yeah, you could do boobless.
I guess you can. I never did that. We always just did
7.355. Yeah, go the extra mile, man. Go there.
This is how, folks, this is how much the world has changed technologically since we were kids. It's like, this was actually entertaining to children.
I know.
We would take a calculator, we would type 8, I guess it would be 28008, and you turn it upside down and you get boobs.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Wow.
That was as close.
That's insane.
That's as close as we got to boobs. It is insane. I can't believe it.
At a certain age, that's very true.
We lived in a beautiful world. Okay, well, we're done. We're done with that. So
we're done.
Yes, well everybody. Done. Past episodes of this show are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play. Ski to us at Bill and Noah and Bill Show. .bsky.social. Write to us. Noah and Bill. Don't get it. At gmail.com. Give us a review on the aggregators. Everybody loves those. It's approbation. I love it. So yeah, on social media in particular, at billscurry.bsky.social, at William Scurry on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, on all the threads, Threadstagram, all the new stuff that kids love. YouTube.com/AMCaesar. That's my YouTube channel. And Noah is in a lot of places as well.
I am mainly at bigquizthing.com, all about The Big Quiz Thing, America's premier provider of corporate and private live trivia events. Thank you to everyone who joined me at my very special event last Monday night at the Slipper Room in New York. Wow, we had a packed house, lots of old faces, old friends, old fans.
Emphasis on old faces, that's for sure.
Yeah, so much fun. Hoping to do it again before too long. But we're mainly about the corporate and private events, nationwide, worldwide, online, in person. So go to bigquizthing.com, learn all about it, get your custom proposal, no obligation, and follow me on rare occasions on Instagram at the Noah Tarnow. So until next week's episode, where we look at the hot new medical drama, The Des, about a teaching hospital in Des Moines, Iowa. We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2026.